Hello and a very warm welcome to our today's interview with Dr. Madhavan Nair Rajeevan. Today we are going to focus on the climate change and its impact in India, especially that of heat waves and the change in rain pattern. A brief introduction about Weather and Radar India. We are part of Data Online. We have been delivering accurate data services to millions of users across the world for the last 25 years. And in India, we are privileged to work with both urban users and rural users and to deliver our services on their mobile phones via the app. Our app, Weather and Radar India, is currently available in Hindi, in Tamil, and in English. My name is Karuna Ganguly, and I'm country manager for India. I'm looking after our marketing and growth operations in India. And for this interview, I'm joined with my colleague, Lars Lewinsky, who is our weather and radar in-house meteorologist, severe weather expert, and also country manager for Weather and Radar United States. And it gives us great pleasure to welcome Dr. Rajeevan today, who is a distinguished scientist and a versatile researcher. Dr. Rajeevan has contributed significantly to developing application tools and prediction models for monsoon and other regional weather occurrences in India. He has been a recipient of multiple awards, played an exceptional role in shaping of the scientific progress in India, and of course been Secretary of the Ministry of Earth Sciences in Government of India. Very warm welcome, Dr. Rajeevan. Nice to have you here. And Dr. Rajeevan, we at Weather and Radar India mostly deal with the users directly. So they download and use our app, and they can get back to us with their questions and concerns, which they experienced live, the weather conditions which they feel and the questions which they have. They do reach us, and that's how we decided to collect the questions and put it across to you. So most of the questions come from our users, and I'm sure they'll be delighted to hear your answers and your views. So I would like to start with a question regarding the recent heat waves. So as you know, March 2022 has been declared the hottest in the last 122 years. And the first 2 weeks of April were also partly with heat wave conditions or severe weather conditions in northern, western, and central parts of India. And one of our users put it this way, that we have jumped from winter into summer, and there was absolute absence of spring. Would you shed some light on this severe heat wave conditions? Why are they so early, and what are they, and how do we deal with it?
Yeah, it is basically a surprise for a person like me. And in India, we have assumed that April, now May, June are the months in which we can expect heat waves. The typical textbook pattern is April onwards. So we it's not that it did not happen. In the past, it has happened. But what we experienced this March was very unusual, and it is basically a surprise event for all of us. And one possibility could be that May did not see much rain in especially northern parts of India, and soil moisture plays an important role in initiating heat waves. And for some dry soil can really lead to heat waves. And also there is a large scale circulation pattern which was conducive for heat waves. In India, we have made studies on heat waves, and we found that large scale heat waves occurring over a larger spatial scale is triggered by kind of a large scale circulation features involving Rossby wave, etc. And as a large scale subsidence, then supported by land surface condition, which is dry land surface condition. So you get a kind of a feedback from land surface, so it will go on having a higher temperatures. So that we have been seeing, seeing it, but we normally see sometime in April, mid-April onwards we see, and it of course the maximum is somewhere in May, then June. June till monsoon comes, we will have heat waves. But this kind of May heat waves are very unusual, very rare. And so what the user has told that suddenly we jumped from winter to summer. It is true. It is true. But I won't still take it as a kind of a normal now. So that means we may not have any spring in future. It's not so. This year could be an abnormal year, and we got an abnormal heat wave conditions during March, and and also there was question whether the summer is getting an early onset of summer. I'm not very sure whether it is going to be a permanent, at least for next few years. So we have to really watch and see. But this year, definitely, this March heat wave is unusual and could be related to the ongoing heat waves, ongoing global warming pattern, which we see everywhere.
Exactly. This is also one of the questions many of our users ask. So do we say that these heat waves, are they part of climate change? Are they impacted by the climate change, or how do you see that?
Definitely, there's no doubt about it. Heat waves are part of climate change. Heat waves are part of course, there is natural variability also contributes it. But the increasing frequency of heat waves, we have been seeing if you take last 50 years of data, there's an increasing heat waves. And otherwise, occurrence of heat wave is not a part of climate change. It is a natural phenomenon. Like a tropical cyclone happens, cold wave happens, heavy rainfall happens. It's a natural process. But the increasing in frequency, intensity, and duration. When a heat wave starts, it prolongs and persists for longer days. So all these three characteristics of heat waves are due to global warming. There's no doubt about it. It's a part of climate change. There's natural variability. Role of natural variability is very small, but occurrence of heat wave is a natural process.
Okay. And apart from the human branch of the heat waves, I mean, we know people complaining about extreme heat, saying that it's just unbearable to be in this temperature. What are the other impacts which you can foresee due to
Heat
this
wave
heat
can
waves?
have an effect on health because it can really kill people. And we have seen in Andhra Pradesh, coastal Andhra Pradesh, in 2015 or so, some 1,000 people died because it will lead to dehydration. Old people who are otherwise sick, they can die quickly. And other diarrhea-related issues, gastroenterology related issues can come. And mostly dehydration. People die of dehydration. And so health problems are very high. And also it could relate to the water stress. It can lead to a lot of water stress. And also during monsoon season, if this kind of episode happens, it can really affect the agriculture products. And so agriculture, the crop production is related to the temperature. Higher temperature like heat wave, a sudden update of heat wave we have not done such kind of analysis during monsoon season. Such kind of episodes do really we face it. For example, we know by monsoon season we get a lot of breaks. We call monsoon breaks, in which monsoon rains are subdued. But if this reduction in monsoon rainfall continues for a longer time, temperatures can go up. And of course, this kind of an abnormal temperatures can go up. So less rain, shortage of rain plus increase in temperature can really affect agriculture. So we have done a quantitative analysis how this kind of things really suppress the agriculture production. We know rainfall and relationship with rainfall and agriculture production. But this kind of heat waves occurring within the monsoon season at the higher temperatures occurring within the monsoon season, we don't have much. We know that qualitatively we know that it can affect, but we don't have a lot of studies. So heat waves can impact on many sectors, especially health and agriculture. These are the two things. Then water, then power generation. More heat wave means people will use more power, more electricity. So energy consumption will be more. So it has a lot of cascade effect.
That is true. And so one more thing, if we go back to the human health, what we have noticed that most of the time, we also warn our users about the heat waves or extreme temperatures. And what we notice is that the interest towards the increase in temperature decreases in, say, 2 or 3 weeks into the summer. So people take it quite lightly with the temperatures and the heat waves because, well, it is hot and it remains hot. And would you recommend something? What can be done to make people aware of it? Any do's and don'ts or something in that respect?
Yeah, that is a very natural. See, when we see the appreciable change, a sudden shift in from winter colder temperature to summer temperature, our body reacts it because the changes are very quick. So body takes some time to react. So body may feel it very quickly. And once set in, then body sets into that temperature. Then even 1 degree change or 2 degree changes, body won't feel it. So that's why we don't feel it. Once summer sets in, okay, these temperatures are okay. But frankly speaking, it's not really good. We may not feel it. We may not, the body may not react, but body inside the body, we may be getting some kind of feedbacks and reactions, which we may not appreciably feel it on outside. So we may have to take full precaution during the whole heat wave season. And nowadays, I'm sure that you also will be issuing forecasts for warnings for the heat waves. And heat wave forecasts and warnings are pretty accurate. And you can give forecasts at least some 5-6 days before the occurrence of the episode. And so such kind of a very skillful forecasts are now available. With this, I think government is very keen. And you know that in the last few years, government also, for example, an institution like NDA, National Disaster Management Authority in India, they take a lot of initiatives and they are interacting with the state governments and they come up with the state action plans. And for example, Gujarat government, Orissa government, Madhya Pradesh government. So all these governments have come up with state action plans. So, and the basic inputs are from the forecast from IMD and other organizations. And so skillful forecasts are available. And so people should make use of it. People should make use of it. They should not have a feeling that heat waves is okay, we will be able to tolerate. My question is, if it has an effect on our body, why should we take it lightly? We should take it seriously. And luckily, we have good forecasts available. So then we should use it. And we should also spread the awareness about the heat waves. So I think that the NDMA does it, health ministry sometimes they do it. And so we need to create more awareness. The poor people, the people who are not well going to office every day, but they go to the farming places like paddy fields or wheat fields, and they do agriculture and they do the construction work. They may not have this kind of knowledge, but they are the people who are most affected. And in, for example, the 2015 the episode in which people died, there are people, common people who are traveling. They did not have any idea about heat waves, and they did not even keep one bottle of water. They went in the morning from the bus, and they traveled in the whole day. And the evening, when they reached their destination, it was very heat. They are not able to. They could not even take, because they did not contain. They assumed that okay, I can sustain the whole day without much water. So did not drink water. By the time they reached, it was completely dehydration. Many people died. The simple precaution. You cover your head and keep your water, keep a bottle of water. These are all simple things which you can do. You don't need a AC to fit in your body and to travel. So you need a simple precaution. But that awareness is not there with especially the poor people, the laborers, the people who are doing, for example, agriculture, the people who are doing construction work. So we need to really create more awareness, and it won't take much money and time for them to do this preparation. And so heat wave is, and it is going to increase. This minance of heat wave is going to increase, not to reduce it. So we need to really create more awareness, more programs to keep them informed, and also they should make sure that they take action.
Absolutely. Maybe a last question regarding the heat. As India is rapidly urbanizing and more people are moving to cities and towns, so those places are going to be like the epicenters of heat, and we feel it when we are in India. I mean, it's always like this, that you feel the heat much more in towns and cities. Do you see a way of cooling down these urban centers despite of climate change?
I don't know. Urbanization is really creating a lot of havoc, which we don't know. We are not feeling it. Maybe some people don't feel it, but it's going to be creating more and more issues, and especially on health issues. And there is so-called urban heat island effect, which is normally seen in many, in most of our Indian cities. It is normally seen that within the city, the temperature could be even 3 to 4 degree above, more than what is in the outskirts. So that urban heat island effect is going to increase. So we have not done a detailed analysis how this urban heat island effect is increasing with respect to time. And I am very sure that if you do the analysis, that this trend analysis, the urban heat island effect is going to is increasing. I'm very sure. And so urban cities are they have to take care of themselves. So they have to have their own issues. They have to have their own planning for reduction of this kind of issues. For example, heat waves and urban flooding is another issue. And because see, the cities are so crowded, with the buildings, and so there is not drainage system is not working properly. So when it heavy and nowadays, now of course when I will talk about precipitation, I will talk about the details about rainfall pattern. So it rains very heavily. When it rains heavily, the water doesn't have enough space to move, so it goes up. Water is a fluid, so it has to move, it has to flow. If there is not enough space to move, it goes up, natural. So that's why flash floods and all, immediately the cities like Chennai, Bombay, and all can get flooded immediately because of the topography, the structure of the city, and so this issue, the heavy rainfall, heat waves, are all going to increase only. It's not going to reduce. So the urban planners should have their own strategy to take care of the people who are living there. So reduction of flooding from heavy rains, and taking care of people in heat waves. So you need energy conserving methods. So you should not use so much electricity to run air conditioners and all. So it will consume a lot of electricity. So you should find out some innovative method of cooling the buildings, etc. And this cooling is required because otherwise people are not able to survive. So we need a lot of thinking, and also a very innovative actions from the urban planners. And urban issues are going to increase with the global warming.
That's true. And since you already started a bit on about to talk about the rain, it's a perfect time for me to hand over to my colleague Lars Lewinsky to ask you more about rain patterns, precipitation, and sea level rise.
Thanks, Karuna. Yes, well, you already mentioned some of the effects of flash flooding in urban areas, but if I could briefly circle back to some of the concerns of our more rural users, because we do have some users who are interested in effects on the farming sector as well. And large parts of India have either had no rain at all so far, or have seen a large deficiency of rainfall. Do you think that they should prepare for a continuation of drought conditions, severe drought conditions? And is that something that you think might happen more often in the future?
Yeah, actually, for farmers, in the perspective of farmers, there are 3-4 issues, main issues. I am talking about Indian perspective. And one is, of course, the variability is increasing. The monsoon, see, assume that monsoon rain. I will talk about only monsoon rainfall, June to September, southwest monsoon. Of course, there are other monsoon rainfall seasons also, but I will concentrate more on June to September. So if you have to consider June to September, the variability of rainfall from year to year, and also from within the season, is changing. And mainly that, again, it is due to climate change. So that means more and more droughts, more and more floods, and the normal years are reduced. So you stretch up that kind of a variability. So you get extremes more. The frequency of extremes are more. So that will have a lot of stress on farmers. Not only drought, even floods are not good for farmers. A medium rainfall is good, but if the whole area is flooded, it will affect agriculture. That's it. So variability is increasing. Number two is the number of, in a monsoon season, you have active spells followed by a kind of a big spell we call break spell. Then again, some after a few days, again you will get a. So now what is happening is this dry spell, or so-called weak spells, or the break spell. The number of days with the dry spell is increasing. That means once it goes to a dry spell, it prolongs for a longer time, much more longer time. And so it will have a stress on the agriculture, because soil will become more dry now that by that time. Unless you get a lot of sufficient rain afterwards, again then the stress will be there on agriculture. And third important thing is when it rains very heavily. When it rains very heavily. So the intensity of rain and a particular rain in a agriculture field is increasing. And so if we expect 3-4 days, we expect some 30 millimeter, 40 millimeter, but this 30-40 millimeter can come in few hours. And when it happens, means the dry soil is not saturated, whole water will simply flow away. There will be no water for agriculture. Simply it will flow away. Especially in the beginning of season, the soil is normally very dry. So when it rains very heavily rains, but the people may say on record it says that, oh, it rained a lot of rains you received it. but no use because simply it must have flown out. And so they need to create some kind of methods. Of course, many people do that. They store the water and that kind of thing they do. And as far as monsoon season is concerned, farmers are faced with 3-4 problems: increasing variability, intense precipitation, the increasing dry spell, a number of rainy days. The days in which you expect a minimum rain, threshold rate, is decreasing. So after 120 days, if you assume that in a particular region, 60 days we expect some rain, now that 60 has become 50. So you get less number of days you get rain. And if you to calculate the total quantum of rainfall in a particular region, it doesn't change much. It is same. Because when it rains heavily. Okay, but number of rain spells and the duration of the dry spells are all changing. So farmers have an additional burden of coping up with their farming, as well as make sure that the cropping pattern is good and they adjust to this kind of variation. So so we need to really teach them. People may not be aware that this kind of thing. Of course, people say they have a lot of local knowledge, and that's all fine. But as a learned people, scientists, we are supposed to teach them, saying that this is happening. So you may have to change your agriculture practice, you may have to change your policy, etc.
Right, interesting. So it's also a matter of increasing awareness then, of course, but and you already mentioned this briefly. So more intense rainfall events naturally also have an effect on the urban infrastructure as well. And we already see impacts from flash flooding during monsoon season already, and these are likely to increase as you mentioned, if we look at the current climate projections across India, but also globally as well. How well do you think cities in India are prepared for these more intense rainfall events that may happen in the future? You already mentioned that if the water doesn't have anywhere to go, it will go up. But are there any coping strategies, anything that is planned to cope with the increase in the flash flood risk in the future?
In urban cities, you mean to say?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, in urban city, this is going to be a serious issue. And we were recently we are seeing the flooding in Chennai. Last year, at least three, four episodes. The whole Chennai city was devastated by floods. And Bombay, for example, many cities, Bangalore is well known for. And many people say it's all man-made flood. Frankly speaking, it's all man-made flood because we don't take care of the cities properly. The drainage system is weak and it's old system, and we don't know how the water is going out. And also a lot of polluted drainages. They dump every plastic, everything into the drainage. As I said, it's a very basic means of water it has to flow. So, and the nature of rainfall in the urban cities have changed. We should appreciate that. It rains very heavily. In a short spell, it rains very heavily. Last year, Chennai, the October, November, December, my God, it is very unusual. But that is going to be a kind of normal now in the coming years for all cities, not only in Chennai, many cities. And so then we need to, so immediately what we can do, we cannot throw out Chennai city and make a new city, isn't it? So they have to have their own planning. So and from our side, from meteorology side, from weather forecasting side, what maximum we can do is develop a flood warning system. Whether we can warn them at least some 2 days before or 3 days before or at least 24 hours before that there's going to be a flood, is very flood, kind of a heavy flood is coming over this city, and it will last for 2 days or 3 days. So if we can do that, that will give a lot of importance and that will give a lot of help to the government. So they can accordingly plan, they can move the people out for some low-lying area, they can take care. So some kind of rehabilitation they can do, some kind of adaptation to what is going to happen, they can do it. So in that direction, we have set up a flood warning system. For example, Chennai, and now last year, 2 years back, we set up a Chennai flood warning system in Bombay. So all very sophisticated system. It calculates how much rainfall is going to come, then it calculates how much it flows. Then Bombay and Chennai and other coastal cities, sea level rise can come and the tides can come inside, and there are small rivers and ponds and that kind of thing. So we need to take care of all the issues, and we have developed the system. But I'll tell you, we find that there are a lot of practical problems, and So such kind of warning systems we need to really produce for all major cities. So that's all we can do it from our side. But the urban planners, the urban municipal corporation have to understand the severity of these flooding events, and they have to well prepare and they have to take precautions. Before the monsoon season, they have to clean up all the drainage. That kind of simple actions can really help them.
Definitely, yeah, very interesting. Of course, with the monsoon season, also comes the increased risk of tropical cyclones as well. And there was an unusually powerful cyclone, Tokte, last May, I think it was, last year, which made landfall in Gujarat and has caused a trail of destruction there, and loss of life, of course, as well. And that raised a question amidst many of our users about the risk of cyclones developing and affecting the west coast, so the cyclones developing across the Arabian Sea, and whether that is becoming more common in the future. How do you see this?
Yeah, that is true. Arabian Sea comparatively to Bay of Bengal is less active in tropical cyclones, in formation of tropical cyclone genesis. That is mainly because Arabian Sea is little more cooler than Bay of Bengal, and the atmospheric circulation also doesn't really allow. But after recent 10, 15 years, if you really see the analysis, the Arabian Sea is becoming more and more active, mainly because the Arabian sea surface temperature has warmed up much appreciably when compared to Bay of Bengal. And also the Arabian Sea is the ocean heat content. The tropical cyclone, not only the sea surface conditions or sea surface temperature, it also matters how much the ocean heat content. I mean, how much warm water is there in the first few layers, first few hundred meters. And so that also is very important, ocean heat content. So ocean heat content also is increasing in Arabian Sea due to some reason. It could be part of global warming, it could be part of the ocean dynamics, ocean variability, it could be a natural variability also, part of natural variability also, but may not be everything. So global warming will has a role on that. But so the Arabian Sea tropical cyclones frequency is increasing, it's no doubt. And you can see years, you see at least some 3. Earlier we used to have 1 in 5 years, maybe 1 in 6 years, that kind of frequency. Now every year you get at least 2, 3. So that kind of a change in the frequency has come. So that is observed and it is true. It is a true that it is Arabian Sea tropical cyclone activity has changed and it is intensified. And also a very important thing is the the rate of intensification. It forms like a low pressure, then become a depression, deep depression, then cyclonic storm, then very cyclonic storm. It has different rates, category 1, 2, 3, 4. So now the rate of change in the intensity is much faster than any other ocean basins now. So Arabian Sea, when it forms a low, within few hours it can become a depression, few hours it can become a deep depression. The rate of change in the intensity is much faster. So rapidly it intensifies into a very severe cyclonic storm. So these are all worrisome for all of us because West Coast, it's a full of all big cities like Bangalore, Goa, Mumbai, then Gujarat, all coastal cities, then Pakistan, Karachi, then all Gulf countries. All these countries are prone for this kind of events. So they need to really well prepared. Especially, nowadays we see that instead of going to Gujarat, they have a little more westward movement. It mainly goes to Gulf countries. So Gulf countries should really well prepared and for this kind of tropical cyclone. And so Arabian Sea, especially in March, April, May, and up to June, and also in the post-monsoon weekend. So Arabian Sea is active now. So there is a study in long time back saying that it's a part of a very large scale natural variability, about 60-year cycle. So some epochs in the past also we had this kind of thing. Assume that the kind of natural variability plays. So, but that episode is still will continue at least for next 5, 10 years. So we have to be careful at least for 10 years. Afterwards, it may go down if you believe that natural variability is there.
Right, right. Interesting. So definitely something to keep an eye on as well in the future, as you say. Now, another effect of climate change and one that has already been happening for a while, of course, is sea level rise. What do you think does this mean for the densely populated areas and urban areas in India in the near future? And can you perhaps also explain how the combination of an increase in the cyclone threat and sea level rise might affect storm surges during tropical cyclone events?
Yeah, sea level rise also is another issue that we have good data, we have good tide gauges now in India, and we have seen that sea level rise sea level is rising. It's about 1.3 millimeter per year. That kind of rate we are getting it in the observed data, and it's very close to the global mean. Global mean also is 1.3 or so millimeter per year. And in the future, if IPCC reports are such that in the future also the sea level rise will much faster, and next year by 2050 they can expect about 0.2 meter increase, 0.2. There will be 20 centimeters. So for next 50 years or so. So that's going to be a little higher rate. And so sea level rise is a serious concern, especially in coastal cities and also low-lying areas. And in India, we have done some studies on how the shoreline changes have happened. And we find that 30% of our coastal area shoreline has changed. There is erosion. 30% there is a sea level erosion, which is mainly caused by sea level rise, and also the effect of tropical cyclone also is there, and so about 30%. So and also if you really see which are these 30%, it's all very populated places, coastal cities, very near to coastal cities. So we need to re-avoid the coastal areas, and we need to really take care of them. And not only it have serious effects on many sectors, not only on the buildings which are all constructed near the coast, but also it can affect the agriculture, the down the line. For example, little away from the coast, there could be poor people having farming. So sea level rise means that all the seawater will go inside, and it's all salty water, and it can affect the agriculture. And because of sea level, coastal beaches and all can go, and they will not able to really go on daily basis to the sea because these fishermen have a small boats. They don't have the motorized boats. Many people, most of them have a small boats. They go 2-3 people in a boat and go up to 10 kilometers, 15 kilometers, come back. If sea level rise there, the seashore is not very proper, and sea erosion is happening, they are not able to go out and do the thing. So there are multiple issues with these poor people in the coastal area. And other cities also, they have to be careful. In the East Coast, cities like Visakhapatnam, etc. And in Ministry of Health Science, we have done an exercise for Puducherry, Pondicherry. One fine morning, Pondicherry beaches disappeared completely. There's no beach. One fine morning, there's no beach. Although it has occurred slowly, but it has happened. No beach. Mainly because the erosion and also the effect of tropical cyclones forming and coming over Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. And then we had done some kind of engineering process, and we have recovered that beaches over Puducherry. So Puducherry beach is restored now due to our efforts, Ministry of Health Science efforts. So, but then it involves money. It costs about 25 crore for us. So, and the smaller stretch about 100 meter or so, 150 meter. So, if you really want to do it for the whole 30% of the coast, it involves a lot of money, and it's not feasible. Technically, it's not feasible. I can understand in a small location we can do it, but may not be on the whole coast. So, sea level rise is really a concern.
Okay, so yeah, we definitely see that there are several potentially severe, mostly negative impacts that we need to take into account with climate change, but also other effects that are sort of interconnected with climate change. But because I want to end my part of our questions on a slightly more positive note, do you see any potentially positive changes due to climate change in India? Anything that might be a benefit, perhaps?
Well, it could be. I'm not sure. I not come across any positive effects so far. But it could be on agriculture. I'm not sure, especially in the winter agriculture, especially the rabi crops. Could be. Warming, more carbon dioxide, for example, can give more wheat production, for example. And so such kind of things may happen, may be there. So I was told that wheat production is the increase in carbon dioxide can really help wheat production. And but if it is everything else, if other factors are not really affecting, if assume that other factors are not there, so for example, Russia, they say that all their food production will go up when during due to global warming, and they're very happy. They're least bothered about global warming because they have more positive effects than any negative effects. But tropical countries, especially in India, you will have more and more negative effects. Maybe positive effects may be a small portion, which we should not even think about it.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Thank
Thank you
you
very much, sir. Probably just one last question before we conclude. And this is one question which most of our users start asking from middle March, and then up to June. How would you estimate monsoon, southwest monsoon 2022 to be like, even though it is probably too early?
Yeah, monsoon rainfall, IMD has issued a forecast of a normal rainfall. We expect about 99%. So La Nina is there at present, and La Nina is normally favorable for monsoon. And models are suggesting that it is going to be little weakened. La Nina will cool off, and we may have maximum a neutral condition, ENSO neutral condition. And small negative factories that forecast of a negative IOD, Indian Ocean Dipole, which are negative phase, so which may not be really good. But overall, I think this year monsoon we should have a normal monsoon. That's what our expectations. We'll have a normal monsoon.
I think this is the best and most positive note. Thank you very much, Dr. Rajeevan, for your time. Thank you for your views, and thank you, Lars, and thank you all the viewers who have watched and who are going to watch our interview. Thanks a lot. Stay healthy, and wish you a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.